couple hours, something cool is happening. I know, you know all about it. We're all just waiting for it to happen. So just looking at the clock, so a few more hours before it happens. Exciting stuff. On top of stuff that's already amazing. Are you ready? Yes, a finale of the Frozen Four college hockey championship is tonight, and my alma mater, Western Michigan University, is there for the first time in their existence, and they, a couple days ago, they beat the defending champion in double overtime. To make it to the final. So the championship is today. I mean, it's been an exciting year, for hockey for people like me, because I'm a Capitals fan. So we had Ovechkin, Ovi, what he did all year. Everyone knows about that. You may not know about the Frozen Four, but I think everyone heard about Ovi and his passing Gretzky, for the most goals scored. So it's been an exciting year in hockey, and I'm enjoying the heck out of it because the two teams that I'm rooting for, the Capitals and Western Michigan University, are both doing very well. Now, I wasn't always a hockey fan. I grew up in Maryland, and Maryland, let's say winters aren't all that cold. We're right next to Virginia and right next to New Jersey, and then on the west side we had West Virginia and mountains, and on the north we had Pennsylvania. So this teeny little state, was part southern and part northern. It had everything, so but it didn't have a lot of snow, and we didn't have a hockey team there when I was there. So I knew very little about hockey at the time. I was more into watching baseball and the state sport of Maryland, which is lacrosse. And Maryland is always very, very good in lacrosse. My dad went to University of Maryland for a while, and he loved lacrosse. He played lacrosse. Hurt his legs pretty bad doing it, but lacrosse was a sport there, which is kind of sort of like field hockey, but there's another thing called field hockey, which is actually field hockey. But lacrosse is pretty close to hockey on just normal ground, normal dirt, instead. So it's I didn't know much about hockey when I was in Maryland. Uh, I until I moved to Michigan, and Michigan's a lot colder, a lot more snow. Got into snowmobiling. I did not personally get into hockey, but I did support. I did go to games, for Western Michigan and football, basketball. So I went to hockey games too. But I remember the first hockey game that I went to. Uh, my my housemates and the people who live next door, there were four of us that we all got together and did a lot of stuff, and so we went to a hockey game. None of us knew a darn thing about hockey, and it was Western Michigan. They were nationally ranked at the time, and we got awesome seats, so right next to the glass, so we could see everything. So we watched the game, we enjoyed the game, we were learning things watching it, and we enjoyed the heck out of it. And then when the game was over, we rushed for the parking lot because we didn't want to get stuck with all the people trying to get out. And we got into the car, turned on the radio to the campus radio station, which we normally had on, and they had been broadcasting the game. So we turned it on just in time to hear the start of the third period. We did not know that there are three periods in hockey. I mean, what sport has three periods? I mean, you have baseball and its innings, and you have quarters, and you have halves. I mean, even for lacrosse, you have first half and second half. You don't have three parts. You don't have, so that's how little I knew about hockey. So you can laugh at me for that if you want to, but if you don't know hockey, then you would probably find that as strange as I would on things. But anyway, so it's a good year for me to enjoy what's going on with hockey. And I've got Canadian in my blood. My grandmother is from Canada, so I've got hockey in my blood a little bit. But I did try hockey once. I was on a softball team. We were a really good softball team. We got medals, ribbons all over the place, and I was pretty crazy on the base paths. So the guys that were on the team were on a hockey. A bunch of them were on a hockey. Uh, they played hockey on some kind of thing where they had they would play in the middle of the night almost because that's the only time they could get the ice to do it. And because of how crazy I was on the base paths and softball, they thought, oh, this guy would be great in hockey. So they did try me out. I mean, I didn't know how to skate. Uh, I was able to kind of sort of manage to skate around a little bit, but I didn't do it. Plus I couldn't stay up that late at night anyway to do it. So I'm not, so I didn't get into hockey. It's not one of the sports I did. The sports I did were more karate and volleyball and running and baseball and softball, and I played a lot of sports. No football though, no hockey, not much basketball either on things, but I played a lot. I enjoyed a lot of sports. Swimming became my big one, and that's what I was doing right up until the time I became crippled on things. So anyway, just wanted to state that tonight is an exciting night. It'll be on ESPN2, I think. So it's going to be on tonight. It's going to be exciting stuff. And I think it'd be totally cool if Western Michigan wins the national championship, and then the Washington Capitals, who are one of the best teams in the NHL right now, they go on and win a championship as well. That would be so cool. That would be so cool. So anyway, that's all I have for this week, because I've got a game to watch and get ready for and everything, and I will do my commercial break now. So if you don't want to hear my commercials on my book stuff, just go ahead and tune me out and buy. But if you do want to hear my book stuff, kind of an exciting thing happened with that. I've got 14 books out there, and I got a thing from Amazon saying that I could. None of them. I've never had an audio book, and traditionally published or on my self-published stuff, and they sent me a thing. They're doing a trial with AI where they would create audio books for things, and they invited me to give it a shot. So I went into the system, and the book that I wanted to do it on would have been my kidnapping book, and it said that it was not eligible because it didn't have a table of contents. And then it went on to say that my four most recent books, none of them were eligible, but all my older books were eligible, even though they didn't have a table of contents either. So I don't understand the difference between the two. But I got on the website, and I was able to pick the voice, that would play. I mean, it's AI. I mean, it's scary stuff. AI always scares me. So I was able to pick the voice. I mean, I could have had a woman's voice, a man's voice, a deep voice, a more soprano voice. Could have even accent. Could have been in London accent. Could have been anything. So I picked one of my books. I picked a book called Lucifer's, and that's another one of my non-comedy books. One of the few non-comedy books I have. And Lucifer's is a book about a man who dies, goes to hell, and then he tries to raise an insurrection against the underworld there, and the demon lord laughs him. Lucifer laughs him off, and punishes him for about 100 years. But then he rewards him. He brings him back and makes him into one of the leaders of his demons, and then he tells him that he wants him to invade heaven, because hell wants to take over heaven, and they find out that there are 4 different dimensions of Earth that they have to go through, and these dimensions are very different. The people are very different from one dimension to a different one physically. And I mean they're still human, but they're different physically. So he has to try to go through all these, in his attack. So anyway, I thought that would be a good one to do, because it's one that has a lot of complexity to it that some of my comedic ones don't have. So anyway, I was able to test the voices, and it would, when I was in their system, and I could just change it at random. I just could push a button and the voice would change. So I picked the voice that I wanted to be there, and it only took a day before it was active on Amazon. So if you go to if you go to Amazon and you look up Lucifer's and then my name, Norm Cowie, Cowie, you can find the book, and then you can click on the audio just to hear about 4 minutes of it that'll go on there. So be very curious of how you feel about it. So if you get a chance, go to Amazon, look up Lucifer's, look up Norm Cowie, and listen to the sample of the audio. Be very curious what you think about it. I think it's kind of cool, even though it's AI and AI scares me. So anyway, I thank you very much for listening, watching, and everything else you're doing. And go Broncos! Broncos. By the way, Broncos on ice. Yeah, you don't really think of horses being on ice. It's too bad they can't change their name to Penguins for the winter. But anyway, go Broncos! Kick butt, man! Alrighty, later. Thanks, guys.